I'm new on this one, so I don't know if we should start. I don't see anybody, so people are coming in, keep coming in. Probably it's sold out, I don't know yet. So it was a good chance to sell your tickets before going in. Okay, I think we should start. Why you're here today? Probably I don't know, but you may figure it out better than me. The thing is that I'm here to tell you a story that took about 4 or 5 years to be completed, and I'm here to tell you that story in 15 minutes. If you take into account that I speak a lot, and once I mean a lot, I mean a lot, then you might feel a little bit sorry for me that I have to do it in 15 minutes, 14 now. Okay, okay. So I should start. Okay, this is a good story I'm going to tell you. It's a happy story, at least on my behalf, and I'm here to tell you what decisions, main turning points that we have made, some architectural decisions that we've made in order to build a runtime platform to support all corporate touchpoints. Okay, when I mean corporate, who am I? Okay, let's start, who am I? My name is Dimitrios. I'm a software capability leader in Inter-American. We call it chapter leader. I don't know if you know the term. I'm actually responsible for a bunch of fellow software engineers to help them grow, get better and evolve as professionals. I'm also considered some kind of an architect. I doubt I am so, but Inter-American thinks I am. So here am I. And so that's how I mixed in that work. Okay. That's much about me. I'm going to tell you from the start, since I think it's a quite interesting story, and anyone who has questions afterwards, since 15 minutes is a really short period of time, I'm here to answer to you outside of the hall, whatever you need. I'm happy to discuss about it, and then I will be free to talk to you a lot. So, I like images. I don't like text so much. Okay, I like text, but here images mostly. Here is a map of what a web page in an Inter-American website looks like. And I'll tell you the reason why I'm showing this to you. Based on the colors, you might see that these are clearly distinct in 3 main categories. First of all, we have UI components that are usually repeated in every web page. Why is that? Header, footer, most of the times they're repeated. We call it a theme. A lot of solutions tell us a theme, and mostly it includes dynamic behavior since the header contains a menu, a website structure, which most of the times is parameterized, is differentiated based on access rights from the user or the type of the user. Then we have content, a lot of content, text, images, videos, and stuff like that. And of course, we have mini applications, sometimes major ones, but most of the time mini applications that most of the times are several in a web page. You might think of it if you think of any page, besides whether, nonetheless, whether you have visited an Inter-American site or not. So, here, what somebody can understand from that one is we have composition of things in a website. Okay. Furthermore, what I would like you to keep is that prior to the platform we made, we have a solution that supported us quite well for some time. The thing is that it supported only web. So we wanted to move on and to provide other access modes like mobile, messaging, emails, and stuff like that. Okay, so what we try to do is collect the capabilities that we already had at any level of maturity or with any weakness they have. You can see here several ones. It has to do with content management, it has to do with identity and access management, authorization mechanisms, personalization, a lot of web applications, at that point of time, more than 200 web applications in the websites, and the vast majority of them were server-side ones, based on Java, since they came from 2011 and even before. And we have session, a global session, that is the communication, the interaction point between all those web applications. Okay. Now, we have decided that since we have distinct capabilities, we will go with a modular architecture approach. That is, define modules in order to, first of all, tackle the challenge of finding a proper solution for each one of them. By isolating them, we had, of course, the capability and define them and build them as a module to develop, modify, and even replace in an isolated mode. Let's say, for example, that you have a content management solution that you want to replace for one purpose or the other at some point of time. Then researching, adopting a new solution, and of course applying it to the new system would only restrain the impact on that point and not the other ones. So the others remain intact, at least at most point. Okay. So we had modules. Yeah, somebody had to talk to this. Okay, we have a band, we need a maestro somewhere. The modules don't have the responsibility of knowing what is happening. So we created the page assembler, which actually is an orchestrator that what actually does is mostly one thing, as it should be, one thing. It receives a request from a web browser, and it handles the main responsibility is to assemble the web page. What kind of page? Assemble all the bits and pieces that we saw before. Content from the content management, incorporate web applications, build the theme, and also connect presentation with the actual content. Okay. Okay. What you can see here now is that, okay, we talked about modularity. It's okay. We know that modular doesn't mean that they should be isolated or remote. We decided to go with a distributed approach as well. Most of it because as we are in a company that is in a vertical industry, in the insurance industry, we don't want, for example, to build proprietary logic for solutions that we are not close to them. So our first priority were to acquire commercial solutions, powerful solutions, sustainable ones, and also receive enterprise support training and all the other services that are very important to us. So we could have cloud services, for example, or we could have, we would like to isolate as well the installment and update of those applications, of those modules, again in an isolated fashion. So in that manner, we decided to go with a distributed approach. Now, by doing that, we can also much better balance workload. For example, focus on resources that need most of that are required compared to others. Like, for example, the identity and access management could do that, for example. Handle points of failure, apply server topology patterns that could handle downtime, and all this good stuff. Now, you can see here that the interaction, the communication points are quite complex. And why is that? Because we had the chance now, besides having server-side applications, to enrich our development weaponry and go to scripting like Angular, and therefore we needed APIs for content management, for communicating those client-side applications with global sessions. So we have a lot of interaction points there. Besides the distribution and the remote, which of course we went with the HTTP protocol as a communication protocol, we should have well-defined APIs that cover all module capabilities. And this could be a clear specification when you come to develop proprietary solutions, but when it comes to researching the IT market and adopting commercial solutions, that most of the times was not only a critical specification, but always a challenging one to find. Okay. I would like to focus a little bit on what the title said, but I tell you, I deliberately added micro-frontends on the title in order to have this audience. Okay, it was a bait. I have to say that. I'm an honest guy most of the times. So, okay, we do have a large number of web applications. What we achieved here, and it was not be compared to the previous solution, is that we managed to have, in a distributed fashion, web applications incorporated within a web page. When it comes to Java, most of them should know, or when you don't know, is that based on the Java Servlet API, each web application has a contact point of an endpoint, a URL endpoint. So imagine how you could add 3 web applications with 3 URLs inside a web resource that has a single URL. Okay, some time ago, Java took care of that with the Java Portal API. Okay, once I told you, forget about it. It has been faded. No need to study about it, just for if you want to do so. But we could not support such a heavy portal, such an API right now. So what we did, we did what those standards that we have already applied and mentioned to you are doing. There is one endpoint, and there is a section, as we see before in the web resource, which a web application should be incorporated. So the page assembler has a model up there coming from the content management, which has all the metadata needed, of course, the most important one, the URL. It calls the endpoint, and what it receives back is a response with a payload of HTML. Now imagine, in any language that you may use, in any web framework that you may use, in the end, there is an HTML coming back all of the time. Now, especially if that web framework that you use applies to certain open standards, like the development of a document object model inside an HTML, then you don't have to worry about the encapsulation details of that web application. And most importantly, from what development stack is built. You don't care about it. You just don't care about it. An example, the previous solution, in order to bridge Java applications, it was a Java, remember, it supported Java Portal API, to the portal, it contained a bridge of 3,000 lines. Now the new solution contains a filter with 130 lines. And that was a commercial solution. I cannot mention the name or the brand, but it doesn't matter. So you get a payload back, you merge head resources to the main HTML page under construction from the page assembler, you put the body into the placeholder that has to be, that web application should be incorporated, that's all, you're finished. Okay, most of the times, because you need to manipulate URLs a little bit, we played with that too. There are a lot of details inside it. I'm not going to get into the details of that one, but in that case, we had a sandbox that we want to test all those capabilities. Okay, we had an Angular theme, we had Java Wicket applications, we have Java Vaadin application inside it. Maybe you know the framework, maybe you don't, it doesn't matter. We had React applications, we had Angular applications. All those communicating through the global session. So let's say that a tiny bit innovative thing is that we spread the micro-frontend, let's say, the micro-frontend term into incorporating server-side applications besides the client-side ones. Okay. Oh, here we are now. Okay, I'm going to go a little back because something vanished. what's on the top right. Okay, we have the content management, and then we researched for about 15 months the IT market for a content management solution. What we ended up is acquiring a headless CMS. Does anybody know what headless means? Anybody wants to say? I cannot see very well, so you may step up, or I will.
Without head.
Oh, great. And what's the head in this position? Not mine, because I still have my head. In case this collapses, I'll be headless too. But headless here means without the presentation logic, without the web. So you manage content there that can be used in several kinds of applications, like mobile apps, email, messaging, whatever, even reuse it, or have a content author that uses the same tone of voice for the same brand in all access modes, web, mobile, email, messaging. Most importantly, it gets out of the way of the developer, which is greatly important for us, since we are not working to create content, manage content, or update content in any way, which we did for many years. Okay. So we have the headless CMS. It's a cloud service. It's a commercial solution. So we need somewhere to keep the head. And that's the web assets. For the web touchpoints, we have a server that serves and hosts HTML, layout, styling, JavaScript, maybe a little bit more things. I don't remember, but that doesn't matter. So you see, we have mobile in the picture right now. To tell you the truth, the first productive applying of that platform was in the mobile app rather than in the web, which is quite, I don't know, fascinating or strange, both. Okay. We have an add-on capability. We needed more. Also, we went to manage marketing campaigns. So we acquired the tool, and then the assembly core on top of the first is the core logic of the page assembler. What it does in regular time intervals or specific points of time, it wants to create the touch point for messaging, especially for emails. It has presentation, it has content as well. So it accesses headless CMS to get content. It accesses the web assets to make the presentation of the email template. It feeds the campaign marketing, and voila, we have email as well. So multi-experience, probably. Sorry, I'm keeping my notes in here. I forgot something. I haven't. Another thing. You see, we keep composing things. Because I came here to tell you something about architecture or designing a solution. The best thing of that one is it is composable. You may add things or you may improve things. The last point I would like to show you is that since headless CMS is a cloud service, probably at some point of time we have felt pain regarding calling a cloud service and paying for it. At least the companies we are working for have felt that pain. So in order to reduce cost, you've seen before a lot of calls going into the headless CMS. We created a cache there. Okay, the cache is it uses Redis, so every access mode that wants to access that content management, it goes to cache, and then the cache is the proxy and the entry point for the headless CMS. It also improved performance. Now that gets more complicated, but in my mind. It's a little bit simplified. I don't know. It's simple. It's clear. Let's say much better. Okay. What time is it? 20 past. Great. I've managed. You lost your break. Let me buy you coffee afterwards. Okay. I don't have anything more to say besides that the fact you can see the benefits here on the right. I don't want to go into any detail apart from anyone who really wants to ask. I'm here for you outside the room. one last thing, because all those that I briefly mentioned, is that in the global session, by using Redis for replicating the session, something that we didn't have before, we managed through the Spring Session module to use HTTP session as a global session instead, and using the Java Servlet API and other standardized things that we used compared to the previous solution, which had a distinct session. So we had HTTP session and portal session back then. So we made that consistent. Given the only thing that I would like to mention, just for you, because I'm rarely proud of things that I do, and I haven't done it. There are here the guys that have done it, so congrats to them. First of all, is that besides being distributed, modular, compared to the old monolith, even the content management was incorporated in monolith. The current platform in the touch points that have been applied so far is 3 to 10 times faster, which in the first beginning I thought it was a fraud, and I asked the guys, okay, you must be just beginning, you fixed the numbers now, that can't be true, but it was true. Now, I don't think anything to say. I would like to thank you on the bottom of my heart for listening to that one. That was a great journey there. I would like to share it to you. What I would like you to keep is try to use open common standards. It doesn't really matter the tools you use, the stacks you use. Making you a software engineer, think that you can create stuff is based on practices and principles that have been taught, have been invented, have been defined, have been written before. Of course, in the problem context you may have, it may suit you or may don't. Be the judge of that, create a judgment mentality, a maturity. Based on that one, it doesn't really matter the tool that you're going to use today, because tomorrow it might not exist, but you will exist, and that will make the difference. Thank you.